I just want to ask one question. My daughter's getting out of school. I've saved all my money. She doesn't have any student loans. Am I going to get my money back? Of course not. So you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us that did the right thing get screwed.
No, it's not anybody got screwed. When we started,
of course we did. My buddy had fun, bought a car, went on vacations. I saved my money. He made more than I did. But I worked a double shift, worked extra. My daughter's worked, she was 10. So you're laughing. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. We did the right thing, and we get screwed.
I appreciate it.
That's all right.
Go right ahead.
Well, guys, we have some unity. But it looks like the way of Biden's ways is not going the way it should, and everything's starting to explode in his face, because we all know that the Democratic Party can't do anything correct. But let's be honest here. Anything that they do has been honestly terrible for the country and for the American people in general. So when I say it's a lot of scuffery, it's a lot of scuffery, and it's not really that great. So let's get right into the article and see what the Democrats are doing with the student loan credit business or what have you, and see how bad they're really making. Honestly, both sides are coming up, both sides angry, which is a form of unity? Question mark. Democrat civil war over student loan explodes. Biden is blasted as out of touch and told he is punishing those without a degree by his own party, as a new projection says it will cost Americans $500 billion, which, by the way, will increase inflation, which will increase taxes, and it makes it worse on everyone involved. Sputterings of dissatisfaction among Democratic ranks over President Joe Biden's plan to wipe out at least 110,000 in student loans has erupted in a full-blown civil war within the party, with some claiming the move is out of touch with what Americans want. And of course, we have also seen from the, my video specifically, right, where you seen that man literally just saying exactly what we all want to say, right? To where he goes on to say that that regardless of all the hardworking people don't get their money back, but all the people that that all the rich people rather do, and that's what made him very angry, and rightfully so. I think this is a very messed up type of deal here, and it's just stupid, and they have really just keep on messing up over and over again, and their people are really going to be feeling it bad. I'm going to say by next year, because inflation is going to increase thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act. The taxes are going to go up thanks to this bill for student loan forgiveness, because I really thought they needed this, and it's not going the way that they planned. Every time Biden does something, it keeps on backfiring, which I find absolutely hilarious in every single way. The shocking price tag of the forgiveness plan is now estimated to cost taxpayers up to $600 billion, even for those who did not take out federal student loans or have already paid it off. Thousands of families who saved up to pay for college educations are furious that their responsible financial planning will leave them without benefiting 1 cent from the relief plan and potentially paying roughly $2,000 in taxes to help pay for it. Yeah. And this is something that the head spokesperson for Biden or what have you went on to say. Take a look.
Colleagues asked if these measures are likely to raise prices because it makes it easier for some students who are maybe more willing to take on debt if they know they're only going to have to pay a minimum amount, or if it's going to be forgiven. And Ambassador Rice said that's something the Department of Education is going to be on the lookout for. So I'm wondering if that's a tacit acknowledgement that yes, these policies could cause tuition rates to rise in the near future even further than they already have.
Look, this is something that Ambassador Rice talked about, as you just stated. She was asked this question a couple of times, and she said we have to see, right? We have to see. This is something that the Department of Education is going to look into, in particular with when you talk about colleges potentially raising prices. That's something that the Department of Education is looking at and is going to crack down on.
But it seems like it's something you're preparing for, right?
Well, I mean, look, this is something that the Department of Education is aware of. This is something that we're monitoring, but it doesn't take away from what this means, from what the president announced today.
Yeah, and well, it seems like you're really choke up on your words, honestly, and that's what's quite sad. So, I'm not quite sure what you're really talking about there, other than being a fucking lunatic, but it's definitely going to increase prices. It's going to cause a lot of issues, And I don't think you guys have a good idea or plan to stop it at all. So we'll see how that goes. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona ducked twice when asked by CNN's New Day how much the plan would cost and how it would be paid for. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget released estimates Wednesday claiming that the forgiveness plan could cost taxpayers $400 and $600 billion over the next decade. This estimate includes the most up-to-date information revealed by the administration and is higher than previous estimates made before Biden announced that Pell Grant borrowers will receive $20,000 in forgiveness, while non-Pell Grant recipients stay at the $10,000 figure. The White House and Education Department did not respond to DailyMail.com request for a comment on the plan to pay for the billions in student loan debt and where the plan will raise taxes on Americans. Yeah, and here's another clip of her essentially kind of acting either dumb or ignorant about the whole situation, not really answering the question that Peter is asking her. And it's quite frustrating because we all know that it is going to cause some major issues financially and everything, and, well, it's not going to help. Take a look at this clip.
Again, here's what we have done.
You're talking a lot about how much it might cost, it might not cost. Who is paying for this?
What we are saying is the work that this administration has done, the work that the Democrats in Congress has done, is actually there, and you see that the 1.7 trillion deficit deduction that you see is going to benefit us in being able to do something for the middle class, to do something for the middle class.
But when you
This is about doing something for people who make less than $125,000. $1.7 trillion. That's what we've been able to do.
But when you forgive debt, you're not just disappearing debt. So
But-
who is paying for this?
And then I'll give you the second part. We lifted the pause, right? We're going to lift the pause at the end of this year, which is going to matter, right? Which is going to offset a lot of what we're doing as well. When you think about the $4 billion that's going to go back into as revenue back into this process of folks paying right their college tuition, that matters as well. So we are doing this in a smart way. We're doing this in a way that's going to be effective. We're doing in this a way that keeps to the president's promise on giving people who need some breathing room, who need some breathing room. I just laid out for you. No, Peter, I just laid out for you how we're seeing this process and why this matters. Again, I just laid out because of the work that we have done.
No, see, you may have laid out the actual amount of like what your plans are potentially might be or what they could be, but you never answered his question and said who is paying for it. And we all know who is paying for it. The people that pay their taxes, the people who work hard, the people that break their ass every day to get them to make a life, to make a living, those are the people who are paying for it, and we all know that's true. The people have to pay for it, and the taxes are going to increase because the government has to get money from something to pay for this. So the taxes are going to increase and manage to pay for it. That's exactly what's going to happen. And guess what? It's not going to be good for anybody that has been making a living with the increasing inflation and everything getting more expensive, and people are going to suffer. And it's going to be the middle class that suffers. And they're playing with fire, and it's not going to be good. So she's honestly just not understanding anything. Or she's just lying out of her ass, which is probably both, honestly, at this point. Biden officially announced on Wednesday his administration was forgiving $10,000 in student loans for individuals making less than $225K and joint filers making $250 combined. The scale of the gulf in the Democratic Party was made clear when progressive factions demanded all student loan debt be canceled. Meanwhile, more establishment and moderate members are pushing back against the more conservative move the administration made on Wednesday. Maine Representative Jared Golden said in a statement, "This decision by the president is out of touch with what the majority of the American people want from the White House, which is leadership to address the most immediate challenges the country is facing." Fellow Democratic Representative Tim Ryan of Ohio said it sends a wrong message to those without a degree. While there is no doubt that the college education should be about opening opportunities, the congressman wrote, "Waiving debt for those already on a trajectory to financial security sends the wrong message to the millions of Ohioans without a degree working just as hard to make the ends meet." With midterms right around the corner, some Democrats are worried that they will lose favor among those who worked hard to save up, work through a swift payoff their student loans. One of the most vulnerable Democrats in the House, Representative Chris Pappas of New Hampshire, criticized Biden's decision on student loan forgiveness. He said the move sidesteps Congress and insisted it would do little to fix the core issue of the affordability of higher education. The nonprofit of Taxpayers Protection Alliance told DailyMail.com that Biden's plan is a reckless policy that will overwhelmingly benefit wealthy Americans and increase the deficit and debt. People who either didn't take out student loans or paid off their loans are frustrated and feel betrayed by the Biden administration, said the group's president David Williams. It appears that this is yet another move by the White House to buy votes in November rather than address the root cause of inflation or increasing education costs. I 100% agree, because they're realizing they're not doing so great in the polls and all that, and they're trying to throw just like they're doing with like the whole birth control thing or the abortion thing, where they were trying to push that and everything because of the mere fact that they were trying to fish for votes. And I think this is the same thing. This is their last deep call to really push for those said votes, and it's backfiring on them. Now they're in a real desperation mode more than they ever were before, and they are going to be feeling the pain. They're not. I don't think they're going to be winning in November, guys, at this point, because they have pissed off so many people, so many Americans, and all the shady stuff they've been doing. It is not looking good on the Democrats whatsoever. There are growing concerns, especially among Republicans, that the plan isn't fair and that Americans who didn't go to college or aren't benefiting from the relief will still be helping pay for the program. Exactly. GOP Florida Ron DeSantis said hardworking blue-collar Americans shouldn't have to pay for liberal studies, liberal arts degree. I agree as well. People shouldn't have to pay for it, but anybody's anything. We should be paying for our own stuff, and that's it. It's very unfair to have a truck driver have to pay a back loan from somebody that got like a PhD in gender studies, DeSantis said at the press conference on Thursday. And now it's from the Penn-Wharton's budget model projects. The president's actions will cost taxpayers more than $900 billion and would disproportionately benefit higher-income Americans. The nonprofit National Taxpayers Union Foundation says, based on the Penn analysis, that gasoline could end up costing all Americans taxpayers $2 million. Did I read that right? Yeah, I read that right. Nevada Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, who is facing a tough re-election fight in 2022 against Republican former Nevada Attorney General Adam Laxton, also spoke out against the decision. "I don't agree with today's executive action because it doesn't address the root problems that make college unaffordable," she wrote. I also agree. "We should be focusing on passing my legislation to expand Pell Grants for lower-income students, target loan forgiveness to those in need, and actually make college more affordable for working families." Again, I would actually agree with that in that sense, that we should definitely make college more affordable for working people, because college is very expensive, especially on certain jobs or certain careers that you want to get into. It can get very, very pricey very, very quick. Pappas noted in his statement, "We all know the cost of higher education is crushing families, and that's why I've supported expanding Pell Grants, affordable community college, and loan forgiveness for those entering vital professions like nursing. But this announcement by President Biden is no way to make policy and sidesteps Congress and our oversight and fiscal responsibilities." Another Democrat chimed in on Wednesday afternoon. The chair of Barack Obama's Council of Economic Advisors accused Biden of both exaggerating inflationary pressures while turning his back on one campaign promise to fulfill another, pouring roughly $500 billion of gasoline on the inflationary fire that is already burning his reckless, Obama-era economist Jason Furman wrote on Twitter. doing it while going well beyond one campaign promise, 10K of student loan relief, and breaking another, all proposals paid for, is even worse. Papaz, meanwhile, is on a more precarious political position than the majority of his Democratic colleagues. His seat in New Hampshire's 1st congressional district is being eyed by a wider array of Republicans in a worried primary race, including a former staffer for New York Rep. Elise Stefanik and former Trump administration aide Caroline Leavitt. While his district rated an even split between Democrats and Republicans by the nonpartisan Cook Political Report, Popeyes is forced to toe the line of moderate politics more so than many of his colleagues, including those pushed for even more loan forgiveness. His statement on Biden's policy continued. Any plan to address student debt should go through the legislative process and should be more targeted and paid for so it doesn't add to the deficit. The president's plan doesn't address the underlying issue of the affordability of higher education, and it's clear that the high cost continues to limit the opportunities available to students, Papayas claimed. Ultimately, we must ensure everyone has the chance to further education and gain the knowledge and skills needed to thrive, and I'll continue to make that a priority. Fruman criticized the White House for highlighting workers in construction, teaching, and nursing beneficiaries when the high income threshold was also allowed married couples making $250,000 combined to be forgiven up to $40,000 in student debt. There are a number of other highly problematic impacts, including encouraging higher tuition in the future, encouraging more borrowing, and creating expectations of future debt forgiveness, and more, he said. And later, Papaz was joined by another congressional Democrat opposed to the forgiveness policy. Colorado Senator Michael Bennet conceded the adverse effects in that the growing burden of student loan debt has on Americans, but knocked the Biden administration for the broadness of its plan. In my view, the administration should have further targeted the relief and proposed a way to pay for this plan, Bennett said in a statement. Yeah, while immediate relief to families is important, one-time debt cancellation does not solve the underlying problem. Democrats will join a litany of Republicans who have come down on Biden for the move. Washington Democrats have found yet another way to make inflation even worse, reward far-left activists, and achieve nothing for millions of working American families who can barely tread water, said Senate GOP leader with Mitch McConnell. President Biden's student loan socialism is a slap in the face to every family who sacrificed to save for college, every graduate who paid their debt, and every American who chose a certain career path or volunteered to serve in our armed forces in order to avoid taking on debt. He called the policy astonishingly unfair. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, like Pappas, criticized Biden's move as a bailout for the rich. In addition to making inflation worse, transferring student debt does nothing to curtail the runaway costs in higher education, including graduate schools that charge more and more while delivering less and less, the California Republican said. Forgiveness without accountability is a free pass of failed programs with high costs and poor outcomes, and would be a green light for colleges to continue tuition hikes. The Biden administration announced a sweeping plan to wipe out debt and reform student loan borrowing on Wednesday, aimed at 40 million Americans. Here's what we know about the one: who is eligible: those who make under 125K as a single person, or 250K for joint filers, or are eligible for $10,000 in debt forgiveness for their federal loans. For those who receive Pell Grants, $20,000 of their debt can be wiped out if they fall under the same salary limits. It does not matter how much college the borrower attended. Forgiveness is offered to everyone, from those who dropped out to those who completed graduate school. Additionally, those who have made payments for 10 years have loan balances under $12,000. Their debt is forgiven. Previously, it took 20 years to have such balances canceled. How do you apply? Nearly 8 million people may have their debt canceled automatically because the Education Department already has their income enforcement on file, according to federal aid website. The Biden administration plans to launch an application in the coming weeks for borrowers to input their income information. FCA said the application will be available before payments resume on January 1st, 2023. Borrowers can sign up here to be notified when the application comes. Who is eligible for more relief? Borrowers have worked for nonprofits, military, or federal state, tribal or local government for 10 years, or could be eligible to have all the loans wiped out through the public loan forgiveness program. But changes to the PSA are limited, expiring October 31st. The program forgives the remaining balance on your federal loans after 120 payments working full-time in public service, where other changes were made. The student loan prepayment pause was extended on one final time until December 31st, 2022. The Biden administration also adjusted income-based repayment plans so that borrowers do not have to pay more than 5% of their monthly dictionary income on undergraduate loans. At the same time, the federal government is not responsible for unpaid monthly interest, so no borrower's loan balance will grow as long as they make their monthly payment. Borrowers making a monthly payment of $0 due to employment or low income will be also covered. All right, that is the full story. I also apologize, guys, for the very, very, very long video, but I just wanted to get this out there because it looks like a whole bunch of Democrats don't agree with this bill as well, including the fact that a lot of other people that are talking about it are not liking this either. So this is a huge, huge problem for Biden, and this is not going to end well. It seems that they are going to have a huge problem, and it's either going to get worse for us, but it's not going to get better for Democrats either. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, take care.